Today I'm going to show you an example of a lateral squat, which is important for hamstring conditions because the hip is a ball and socket. It just doesn't go forward and backwards like squatting like this. We got to go side to side and rotationally. So active loading the lateral squat is pivotal. Here we go. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to do this in a different way today. I'm not going to actually be on the screen because I want to show the things that she's doing poorly, actually. So actually loading that lateral squat right there, I like to use a band right here attached to band right there attached to a yoga strap. There's a lot of different things you can use for this, but active loading of a movement is actually when we have a vector or a force driving into the movement, so you have to control the movement. You just can't have gravity just kind of plop you down into it. So I like active loading these type of pattern. Now the lateral squat is really useful for knee stacking. And you're going to notice here that she's actually doing it improperly. Okay, this is what a lot of people end up doing, which I have a huge passion for them not, so this takes a lot of correction. Number one, let's move this thing out over here. Let's see if I can get it out of there. I'll move to the top. Okay, so the knee, number one, has to be in this straight line right here, okay? The hip, the knee, and the foot have to be able to drive this person up or to the right because we're working on change of direction type of patterns. Let's take a look at her now when she moves. So she has to drive straight up. The knee is in a poor pattern, but when you think about squatting, regular squatting, it's actually not bad because she has the knee over the foot. This is different. And notice here also the depth that she gets to. She's pretty flexible. We have this knee straight, which is what I want, but a lot of times people, when they squat back this far, they feel this hamstring or adductor light up. This is not an adductor stretch at all. It is not a full squat. It is a pattern into a lateral squat or change of direction. Imagine if you're running. We would run one direction and then we would pivot and drive into the other. And that's what this is training here, to be able to be powerful in change of direction. Okay, I still don't like any of these squats here. I was going to coach her into a better one pretty soon here. So this one was really bad. So the knee drifted outside here. This is how we get turned ankles, okay? Let's see when she does correct. She has to lift. So this takes a little bit of time. So the first thing I like to do is actually like to have people think about the tripod in their foot. And if you have not seen a video on this, there's a point right here, one on the outside here, and one on the inner or the ball of the foot. Both sides need to be drilled into the ground the entire time. They cannot lose contact. Don't even let them change pressure. This is still drifting out and going definitely too far. Let's get her into the, there we go. Now she's starting to attain it. So notice here, so it's still not great. She has a little bit of arching, or the increase of the arch of the foot. The knee is not totally stacked in a line of drive, but I know pretty soon here she's going to really get it. Here we go, right there. Good. Okay, so I'm going to pause it right there. We can do a little correction on the foot here, but for the most part, this knee, it looks like a terrible squat. Granted, it looks like a terrible squat, but it's not a bad, it's actually a good lateral squat. All right, we're training a different movement. People ask me, why are we doing this? So we have this ball and socket right here, which is the hip socket. We typically train it in forward-backwards movements, such as squatting, deadlifting, lunging, so on. But frontal plane, forward, back, or side to side, and rotationally, a lot of times it's not challenged. This is what we're doing here. So check that knee tracking. She has that vector of drive that she's getting back. She's clenching the cheeks at the top, and the torso or the pillar on top right here is staying stacked over the hips. So these look pretty good. That's a bad one, a really bad one. Let's look from the other angle. She's drifting a little bit again. Notice that the other foot is drilled into the ground. And let's get her into a better one. That's a bad one. Here's just a view from the other side here. Okay. What I want you to notice here is actually she's getting her hips back and her knee is not tracking dramatically over her toes. When you do this, when the knee is tracking over the toes, you'll load the quad and you'll leave the hip out of it. This isn't a 100% bad thing, but when we train this thing, I like to oftentimes get the hip into it. So I like to push them back slightly so that their weight is into this heel back here. They're still driving those two other points right here, but majority of the weight's right here. And then they're going to drive out of it, standing tall, clenching the cheeks. So that is our lateral squat. This is something you can incorporate with knee conditions, hip conditions, Low back conditions, oh my gosh, you can use it with nearly everything. So you can keep watching this video, watch it one more time, double check it with your doc and your trainer, but this is how I see it and how a lot of other performance-based docs see it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel.